is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168.
Well, with the best, I gotta give it to him. Bud, the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of gotta give him some respect no matter what. You gotta give him some respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. But I've only won 1 of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith called out Floyd Mayweather for downplaying Terence Crawford after his win over Canelo. Smith said Crawford did something historic, becoming undisputed in multiple weight classes. He made it clear that Crawford earned every bit of his success and deserves full recognition. Smith insisted that Crawford's victory over Canelo wasn't just another fight, but a moment that secures his place among boxing's all-time greats. No criticism or negativity from Mayweather could diminish that achievement.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his...
Jeff Mayweather spoke strongly about the shot Crawford delivered to Canelo, saying this loss will always be part of Canelo's legacy. He noted that Canelo was the dominant champion in his division, but Crawford moved up in weight and beat him on his own ground. Jeff called it a serious mark on Canelo's record, something history will remember. Champions are defined by their moments in the ring, and this was Canelo's defining moment, a stunning loss to Crawford.
Either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What does this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In B-ball, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fiiter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great.
Stephen A. Smith expressed full admiration for Crawford's victory, saying he was lucky to witness it in person. He emphasized that nobody in boxing history has done what Crawford did, moving up in weight to convincingly defeat a champion like Canelo. Smith called it a career-defining night, setting Crawford apart from the rest. He described it as a monumental moment that will always be remembered in boxing history, and a true shift in how greatness is measured.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer said after the fight that his fighter has nothing left to prove. He believes Terence has earned unquestioned respect, even if some critics won't acknowledge it. The trainer highlighted that despite beating one of the sport's biggest names, Crawford still faces narratives outside the ring. Right now, he's not chasing another fight. What he did against Canelo is enough to cement his legacy. This was about securing a lasting mark, not chasing more names.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who is 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford, and they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News...
Timothy Bradley compared Crawford directly to Floyd Mayweather, saying Crawford now belongs at the top of any GOAT conversation. For Bradley, it wasn't just beating Canelo, it redefined what it means to be pound-for-pound number one. While Floyd was dominant in his time, Crawford proved he could reach an even higher level by taking down Canelo at his peak. Bradley said this when places Crawford among the absolute legends of the sport.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? You see, I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. offered perspective, noting that when Floyd beat Canelo, Canelo was younger and less experienced. Floyd's skill and ring IQ gave him an advantage. Crawford, however, faced a fully developed and dominant Canelo. Despite being naturally smaller, Crawford dismantled him. Roy said this makes Crawford's achievement remarkable because he overcame a stronger, smarter, and sharper opponent than Floyd ever faced.
His natural weight class, does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time.
Duke McKenzie was amazed by what he saw. Canelo had no answers against Crawford's speed, precision, and relentless pressure. McKenzie described it as one of the most complete performances in modern boxing. He noted that Crawford not only became undisputed, but also proved nearly unbeatable against top opponents. Crawford set a standard so high that few, if any, fighters will ever reach it.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a three-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight, not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. There's a discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close.
Trainer Robert Garcia praised Crawford's greatness, saying he achieved more than Floyd Mayweather in this context. Crawford dominated 9 to 10 rounds against Canelo and showed a hunger Floyd never displayed at such risk. Garcia emphasized that moving up and beating a bigger champion in this way makes Crawford's win historic. For him, it wasn't just about belts or numbers. It was about taking risks and succeeding, which separates legends from icons.
Done too much, and he wasn't. I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-time, three-division undisputed. He wanted to go up. He wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. If Canelo doesn't have any changes, if he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy.
Brian Norman Sr. left no doubt that Crawford's win over Canelo was more punishing than anything Floyd had done. He noted that Canelo, long the king of his division, wasn't just defeated. He was systematically broken down by a fighter moving up 2 weight classes. Crawford's performance redefined greatness in modern boxing. Canelo, previously untouchable, was outclassed and left without answers, making this a shocking and historic night.
I didn't think that Bud was the best. I gotta give it to him. Bud the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of gotta give him his respect no matter what. You gotta give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes. What people said he couldn't do, he's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You gotta respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by taking Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit, I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fights are still humans, and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was, I'm sorry, not Canelo. Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? No matter what he did against Primo or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was a big deal.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with Floyd. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's opinionated situation with the styles they fight. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing. The styles they fight, you just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras.
Yeah, different eras, different. It's a different a lot of things.
Andre Ward framed Crawford's victory as a generational fight. He said fans will remember it for decades as a career-defining moment. Ward highlighted Crawford's discipline, composure, and intelligence throughout the fight. Crawford didn't let emotions control him. For Ward, this performance pushed Crawford into the conversation as one of the greatest fighters ever. By dismantling Canelo, he reached a level where very few in boxing history have stood.
Canelo Alvarez tonight. What was your thoughts on that performance from Canelo, from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there, the power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So, what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates. Until next time.